Okay, let's see. Oil was $55 in 2019, and the majority of us were working. Good hands will stay working. 2019, that's the year we lost 35% of our drilling rigs. Yeah. I guess the majority, yes, technically, I guess the majority was still working. Yeah. We didn't fire more than half the people in the industry. So, yes, you're right about that. With the recent fall in oil prices, I see a ton of people jumping on social media to talk about the industry and what's going to happen and what's not going to happen and all this stuff. And a lot of people use their personal past experience, and people like me obviously use historical data to try to determine what's going to happen next. But you can't just take what happened historically and say, okay, that's going to happen again, because that's not really how it works. You look at historical data and you see how companies responded to downturns each time there was a downturn, and because there's a different iteration of their response, right? They don't respond the exact same way every time. They try to improve that to prevent losses. And one of the ways that U.S. producers have failed in the past to respond to downturns, thereby making those downturns worse, is by not scaling back early enough. And a lot of that has to do with how much debt that they were carrying during those times. But things are much different now. They're not carrying near as much debt as they were during previous downturns. And what that means when they're not carrying near as much debt is they can scale back much quicker. And that's why we're already seeing rig counts fall drastically. Another thing people fail to recognize is what inflation does to businesses. Everyone understands what inflation does to them personally. It has that exact same effect on businesses too. If $50 doesn't get you as far as it used to, it also doesn't get an oil company as far as it used to as well. There was a time when, break-even price for oil in the United States was $20. There was a time it was $30. There was a time it was $40. There was a time it was $50. $60. It's not there anymore. We have had inflation over time, and the break-even price for oil is no longer $50 or $55. That's just not a thing. So what I have been predicting is going to happen is oil companies are going to react much quicker and much swifter to scale back their expenses, scale back drilling, to try to prevent the downturn in the commodities market as being as deep as it might turn out to be. They're trying to call it a soft landing, I guess. If they accomplish that, then the downturn won't be as bad as it would be otherwise. But it'll certainly mean job losses. It'll certainly mean declines in production. No matter what happens, drill baby drill is not a thing. Just like I've told everyone, it's not a thing since the first time it was ever said. But the thing I would disagree most with Justin here is that good hands will stay working. I've been in this industry a very long time, and good hands staying working is something that should happen, but it's definitely something that doesn't happen as much as it should. Good hands are usually the first ones to go because they're the highest paid. Of course, there's scenarios where that's not a thing, but in my overall experience over 33 years in this industry, I've seen more good hands get let go than bad during downturns. Yeah, thanks.